Hello there, you beautiful soul. Welcome back to another Culture Talk segment with Rebecca Munoz, your host and founder of Cultured Society. I am here with another special guest this month, and this special guest is coming to you from Oakland, California. Nisha and I have had the opportunity to interact, to travel, to get to know each other throughout the years. In fact, Nisha and I met in 2008 when I was living in Los Angeles, California. And I believe at the time, Nisha, you were living in San Diego, right?
Yes.
Yes. So her and I, had the opportunity to really get to know each other in a very different phase of our life. And it's been great because I've traveled, I've moved, and throughout my travels and my moves, we've stayed connected, even though we haven't stayed connected for periods of time where we converse or we traveled together throughout that time. But it's been very relevant because we have gone through different phases of our lives throughout our own journeys. And we've been able to come together, reconnect, and experience so many different amazing moments together. And Nisha has really inspired me in so many ways. And, if you have been following these conversations, because of my travels and my unique journey, I have been able to connect with people from all over the world that are creating waves on this planet, that through their journey, they're able to impact people in so many ways that are needed, especially in the time that we're living in today. So Nisha Jalmi currently resides in Oakland, California, and works as a vocational rehab counselor. Nisha is an intercountry transracial adoptee from Goa, India. In 2009, she embarked on an international search to reunite with her birth mother. A few years later, her journey back home was featured in the documentary You Follow, a search for one's past. After the nationwide tour of You Follow, Nisha became a public speaker, group facilitator, adoptee advocate, and published writer for PACT, an adoption alliance. She continues to share her personal evolution and work by other adoptees, and in her blog, theadopteediary.com. Nisha later realized how her experience of family separation intersected with animal rights, which has led her to live a plant-based vegan lifestyle to combat not only animal cruelty, but also racism, the current climate crisis, and food injustices. Nisha's passion for adventures and education sparked her commitment to invest in traveling the world with dear friends or alone on the open road. With the current travel restrictions, she has made time to listen and heal without distractions. Nisha values the universe, herself, Mother Nature, personal growth, and new experiences. And with this, I introduce the beautiful Nisha Jalmi. Thank you for joining me today, Nisha.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's great to see you and have a good conversation today. I'm looking forward to
Absolutely.
it.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. And as I mentioned before, whoever is going to join these conversations, whether it's today, tomorrow, next week, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, these conversations are so relevant because we live in a society today where it's very prominent and it's very evident, especially in 2020, that history repeats itself. And we are still living in a society that there's a lot of segregation and separation. And I truly believe that we all come from one body. We were born the same way. We have a lot of the same components of how we were created, yet we are all very unique and individual. We all have a specific life purpose. We have a specific DNA code. And oftentimes we get so bombarded with all the information that's coming from the media, that's coming from the society, that oftentimes is not revealing the truth. And I'm here to reveal the fact that even though we are from different races, different genders, different religions, different belief systems, life philosophies, experiences, that we can all come together and we can have an amazing conversation that is relevant, that is true, and that we can embrace, we can accept, we can learn from each other, and we can really seek to understand And understanding other people is where we need to come from. We need to come from a place of just love, right? And so with this, I introduce the questions that have been asked to every panel of guests that have come onto this conversation. And although they're the same questions, because everybody's so unique, these conversations have been so unique to the individual. And like I said, we all come from different experiences, yet we can come together and have a very important conversation that is going to reveal truth to what we're each individually experiencing today. So Nisha, starting with the first question and the most important question, what is your life's philosophy?
Okay, so yeah, I've been kind of taking some time to think about this and really looking at my daily choices and my daily practices and my thought patterns. And really what really overlooks at everything is the universe and that magnetic and energetic pull that we are a part of. And so that's kind of what all of my philosophies has linked back to, is the power of the universe and actually just tapping into that. So that's kind of been my overall life philosophy for the past 20 years or so. And the ability to really tap into that navigation system. So that's kind of evolved into, when in doubt, don't do it. And that's something that I have really carried with me, is the ability to tap into my body and how it's feeling and where it's pulling me, and really trusting it and following through, because when I do trust it, everything is naturally provided and is easy, and which is a great confirmation and a great feeling to look forward to as well. So that philosophy has kind of always been carried with me, but has shown up in different ways as well. So with new practices, detaching is a great daily practice. The act of giving, the act of receiving is something that I've really been trying to practice. It's very hard for me to receive, whether it's gifts or even love, attention. Attention is really hard to receive. So yeah, it's kind of evolved into over the years, but the main point is tapping into that power and just releasing all your expectations.
That is a beautiful philosophy to live by. And it's probably one of the hardest evolutions that one can experience. So with
Mhm.
that, we did talk about evolution. So how has that philosophy evolved through the last, well, actually your entire life?
Um, when I first learned about it is really when my life was able to change a little bit, or at least I learned that I had more control over my life and the outcomes. Um, so like I said, it's just kind of evolved. So it was first like asking what I wanted and then seeing if I would receive it. Then it was, the practice of being grateful. So that's what I needed at that time in my life. So it's always kind of evolved. And then what really kickstarted it was when I planned my trip to India to start filming. That's when I really started noticing the universe really showing up for me, because I was following that natural instinct to just go and do it, and I needed to. So that's how it's kind of evolved. And then and then just kind of I practice everything when I can with my personal relationships as well. So it's evolving. Right now I'm kind of working on my relationship with money and healing from my financial wounds and recognizing those, because that's a block in receiving and giving as one of the practices of tapping into the universe. So that's kind of where I am right now, but a little bit about how it's evolved,
It's
my
interesting.
relationship with it.
It's interesting that you bring up the relationship with money, because that's something that I have struggled with too. And because the nature of our upbringing usually impacts the
Mhm.
way that we live our life today, right?
Yeah.
And as givers, natural givers, we tend to have a difficult time receiving and usually leads to receiving money, which is something, I think, an issue that a lot of people in our society have. That's not just you, because that's something that I've been healing as well within myself. And that brings me to my next question, because you did mention, your upbringing. How has your upbringing and your circle of influence impacted the way that you live and think about life today?
Right. So again, I had to kind of take some time to really look at my evolution and how I live my life today. So some of my major values of my life today that I like to practice is, of course, Mother Nature, honesty, um, and how did I get there? Well, I mean, first being placed for adoption and being permanently separated from my biological family, that has impacted my life to the point where I'm holding a lot of trauma in my body. So that's one aspect of it. And then my my acknowledgement of that trauma of separation, and also then learning about the meat market and how they also separate the children from their mothers. I saw videos and I read books, and I was really making that connection between my experience and the experience of a sentient being um, in the meat market. And so I made that connection to then use my personal experience to change my lifestyle. And that's when I started really taking veganism pretty seriously with my own personal choices. So I've been living a vegan plant-based lifestyle for almost 10 years because I made that early connection. And so that has also led me to public speaking and my experiences with advocating for adopted people. So through all those experiences that I've had, as well as my professional experience working as a vocational rehab counselor, um, those have all really intersected and helped me become more open and aware of my surroundings and experiences of others. In addition to all my years of traveling as well. Um, so all of those experiences have really led me to live as much of a compassionate lifestyle as possible. I'm purchasing and being aware of where my money is going and the companies and the people that it affects in producing what it is that I'm buying and using on a daily basis. So being aware of all the work that it's taken to get to me, and where I want to put my money and my time and my energy and my voice, in which direction and how I want to change the world. So those are some major parts of my life that I'm learning to share more of, and those are kind of a little explanation of how they intersect and how I live my life now.
There were so many things that you unpacked in that response. And it's oftentimes one of the hardest things to navigate through. I don't know what it's like to be an adoptee. And I'm sure that there are a lot of people in our audience that have never experienced that, or even have lived with an or have adopted a child, right? And it's something that's very prominent in our society today. So from the perspective of a woman who has been adopted and has had to navigate through a lot of those life experiences, and having to go back to your birthplace and navigate through that, how has that even influenced in the way that you connect with people? Because there's a lot of people that oftentimes come from a place of not understanding where you're coming from. So
Mhm.
has that given you more of an awareness of how you interact with people and how you choose to, listen and to understand from a deeper level? Because I mean, your experience, I would say, is very unique in itself.
Yes. So um, I have been kind of part of, I've been speaking about my experience of being adopted for since the release of the film.
Okay.
And I think that was, I don't know, like 8 years ago or so. And so it's been very challenging to speak about my experiences as I'm living them and unpacking them and unfolding them. And then also understanding and creating the language around my experiences to then share it.
Mhm.
So it's been very healing in some ways because I'm able to connect with other adopted people. And that was really part of my transformation. Um, and when I started getting connected with other people that had very similar um, experiences and losses, then I really blossomed because I was able to take in a lot of their stories, their experiences, and really relate and normalize my own experiences. And not necessarily talking myself out of the really tough, icky feelings that I have about my adoption, um, and really finding space to be heard. So the last 10, 15 years, I've been doing a lot of not only my personal work, but part of that personal work has been researching other adopted people that have been creating pieces of work like myself. I created the film with my friends, but then, my fellow adoptees they have podcasts and books and, oh my gosh, performances and poetry. And so it's just amazing to be part of that community because we are sharing our stories that are so important and need to be heard because we are really trying to create less harm
Mhm.
to other adoptees that are currently being raised
Yes.
um, in in their families. So yeah, so it's been really interesting. But going back to what you were asking too, talking to people that are not adopted, that's been coming up in my life a lot lately. It's always been kind of difficult, but um, which has led me to kind of branch out and look for my community
Mhm.
elsewhere. And I mean, don't get me wrong, my friends and my family, they listened as much as they could, but there wasn't a lot of response. And if there was response, it was almost like, why did you say that to me? But without them really knowing or understanding the impacts of the word abandoned and, without really knowing. Um, so that's when I realized I have to find my healing in my community. And that's when I began to dive really deep into books and my support group and my friends, Oakland. And so, yeah, I needed to find my people.
Absolutely. And
Mhm.
it's such a beautiful thing when you start to tap into yourself and to your own inner guide, because oftentimes when you do that, that does lead you to communities where you will be surrounded by people that not necessarily have the exact experience as you, because every experience is going to be so unique in itself. But the point is having a deeper understanding of what someone goes through and having that deeper connection where you
Mhm.
can really resonate with each other and help each other grow and heal through that process. Because I don't think that every night, not everybody will have a deeper understanding of that experience that you're going through,
No.
but because
Mhm.
they have a deeper understanding of themselves, they're able to connect with you on a deeper level and even just give you that space to express yourself and how you're feeling. And expression, freedom of expression is so important because it does give you that space to be able to communicate what you're feeling, and even just like activating, right, that expression at a DNA level, which
Mhm.
then gives you the ability to heal the
Mhm.
healing that you need.
Mhm.
It's so important. Yeah, it's really important. And I think that you know, having these conversations, even though, because I don't know where Nisha is coming from because I don't have that experience that she has. However, we are all going through our own experience. We all have our own specific traumas, you know, pain points, even sometimes where we feel like we're not understood. But you know, having a deeper understanding of ourselves and even giving ourselves that space to be able to do that will direct us to the people that we need to be in presence of or even in alignment with, for us to have those conversations that will help us heal at a deeper level. Now, you mentioned a lot of the work that you're doing right now, to educate, to impact, to inspire. So do you believe that the line of work that you do now infects our society with positivity?
Yeah, I like to think so. I like to think so because it's coming from a good place. But you know, um, yeah, I think so. I mean, with my professional line of work, you know, I'm supporting people in becoming independent. Um, and many of the people I work with are wonderful people. So I've really been fortunate to watch them grow, and take their path to becoming, you know, independent and reaching their goals. So it's been a great to participate in that process for them. Um, and then, you know, my advocacy, that I've done over the years here and there, and then the sharing of my film and my personal story of being adopted transracially, I think is also having a positive impact on families and parents that want to receive and are ready to receive my information and experience. Um, and so that you know, that's a relationship where it's give and take. And and then as far as, you know, my daily choices with my, you know, vegan activism, I guess, that's that's every day and ongoing. I believe that I'm making a positive impact. um, I think sometimes I hear from my friends that they want to try new products, and you know, I've been sharing, or I shared a tip about cooking quinoa the other day. And I think one person said that they learned something new, and I thought, great.
Yes.
So, you know, I think I'm making a positive impact, and hopefully I am. I've been told I have in the past. So, yeah, and this is what makes me feel good, is to live this type of lifestyle and to share what I've learned and really value my body and my health,
Mm,
to stay connected and grounded. And this is my life, and life is just becoming a lot more precious to me lately, um, every single day. So I know I hear this a lot, but I never really, especially when you're young, you always hear it from like older people. But I think I'm like starting to feel it. I'm like, yes, yes, every day matters.
every day
Um,
matters. Absolutely.
so it's
Did you always know from a young age that you were going to go into rehab counseling?
no, no, no. So I naturally developed, this career, right out of college.
Okay.
So one position led to another, led to more education, led to more jobs, and then the current position I'm in right now. Um, so no, this was not necessarily a dream of mine when I was a child.
What did you think about doing when you were a child?
Um, Honestly, I didn't really think that far ahead. Um, I I never really imagined my life after the age of 18. And I know
Mhm.
that sounds really weird to hear, but I don't know if it was more of like a psychological block, um, or something maybe going on with my body. I don't know from my experience, but it was really difficult for me to imagine my life as an adult. If So I didn't really have any lifelong dreams of careers when I was a kid. And so I think, but my experience growing up with my mother, she was in social services. My sister's a teacher. So education was very valuable to women, and that was what was taught to me. So I got a lot of my formal education completed and done because I really wanted the ability to be able to take care of myself. And the way that that was taught to me was, okay, we'll go to school and study and then become employed, and then you can take care of yourself. And so I'm like, okay, great. That's what I need to do. And so I did it. And right now I'm so grateful because I have the time and the space and my basic needs met so then I can really take care of myself these last few years. So that was kind of the path that has led me here as well, to really be able to. So my employment, my job, my career has been able to give me some time to really have the space to heal,
Mhm.
and cry and try new different types of therapies, have the money to try different types of therapies, um, and different approaches and buying books. So I'm having the ability to obtain tools to help me heal has been a very important part of this.
Mhm.
And I don't think I really knew that at the time when I was going into my career, but it has become a blessing kind of in disguise that I'm able to do it right now. And the timing, I think, is really well, is part of that too.
It's interesting that you said that you never saw your past your life past the age of 18, because oftentimes from a very young age, we're already, I mean, almost like society is pressuring us to know exactly the direction that our life is going to take.
Hmm.
And I don't really think that was a block. I think that's actually kind of a blessing, because when we take the time to just be present instead of always looking ahead to the future, because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
No.
We don't even know if we're going to be here anymore, right? It
Mhm.
just, our life can be taken just like that. So it is almost like, a gift that was given to you to be able to just like stay in the present and allow, like you said earlier, that you have tapped into your inner guide, and it's really led you down that path of inner healing, and just like really allowing that to be your, almost like your yeah, your guide, to allow you to choose what it is that's going to help you reveal what it is that you need to do, not only for yourself but to help other people. Do you believe that the work that you do every day is aligned with your higher calling and purpose?
Um, yes, yes, I'm becoming more aware of this. I am kind of looking and becoming more aware of this as I shift because um, I do think that I'm kind of going through some type of shift and change and involvement and movement. I want movement. I'm starting to desire movement again. Um, so, in which direction, I haven't quite figured that out yet completely, but I think I have an idea. So, right now, at this moment, um, I don't think that being a rehabilitation counselor is my calling necessarily, but it has provided me, again, the tools to really invest and learn more about, um, I guess, what's really important to me and what really makes me happy, and um, what my purpose is. And I think right now it's talking and sharing, um, sharing my experiences and how I've shifted in so many ways. I mean, a big part of that is the adoptee experience. Um, that kind of that's my foundation for all the other parts of my life. But yeah, so I think in in parts of my life, yes, in parts of my life, I am definitely um, practicing and educating myself and moving towards more of what makes me happy. And that's really sharing what I've learned.
Do you think that your journey and even going back to India and understanding your country, where you come from, has helped you even have a deeper understanding of the work that you do today? And even because a rehabilitation counselor, I mean, yes, you can learn that in school and you can learn from books, but the experiences that you've had are very impactful within your own life. And it gives you the opportunity to be able to teach people and to understand people, because talk about the type of people that you work with. Like what type of rehabilitation are you doing
So
currently?
I work with people who are eligible for our program, which is typically people with permanent disabilities.
Okay.
And those permanent disabilities have to create barriers to them seeking employment or retaining employment independently.
So I can imagine that you would have to, I mean, I feel like oftentimes our own traumas and our own experiences give us an opportunity to really not only again dig deep within ourselves, but have a greater understanding of people's psychologies and why they do what they do, why they come from where they come from, or why, their journey has taken them through
Mhm,
those difficult transitions, right? I don't
mhm.
think not just anybody has the ability to do that.
You don't think anybody has the ability to
No,
do?
like not everybody has the ability to do the type of work that you do and even come from a deeper
Mm.
understanding to be able to facilitate and to guide others to be able to maneuver through their own journeys, because those transitions can be very difficult.
Right, right. Yeah. So the population, the people that I work with usually do come from very vulnerable backgrounds. They share a lot of their personal history with me. They share with me their personal background, their family, their current situation right now, and yeah, um, it can be it can be hard to hear sometimes, but they're here for a reason. They're working with me for a reason. They've come to see our program for a reason. And so I do commend everybody that walks through our doors, because that's a huge step, is to seek help or to ask for help or to seek change. And so that's what I really admire. And then again, starting to walk people through that path to create change in their own personal lives.
At what age did you really start to question where you came from and to even seek the help to understand?
Well, I've always questioned where I'd come from.
Mhm.
I had never really had any representation of Goan people or Goa, India, really in general, while growing up. So it's always been a question. Did I always get that answer? No, I didn't really know how to verbally ask um, some of those tough questions. So when I got older, left the house, was out in college, then like most adoptees, that's when we kind of have a little bit more freedom and space to expand and explore and actually act on finding information and answering our own questions and connecting with other people, or just seeking a better understanding of ourselves and who we are now as an individual out in the world, and no longer under the care of our adoptive parents that have created this, sometimes this shield, this mold, to protect us more so instead of preparing us. So then we get into these spaces where we have to sometimes break down what we were taught, and then rebuild again. So not every adoptee, so I'm not saying everybody is like this, but it's very common from a lot of stories that I've been hearing over the years that that we get into these moments as we gradually want to learn more and get more answers. And it comes and goes throughout our whole adulthood. So not every story is the same, just like with us as individuals. So it's really powerful.
It is really powerful. And I am going to share a link to the You Follow film because one, it's really inspiring. And what's great about documentaries especially is that it gives us really a greater understanding of oftentimes the struggles or the depth of one's past, and how the way that we can really relate to other people, and how when we communicate, how we can just listen and understand and not judge, right? Because oftentimes we can get into a place where I like to say that we tend to live in a box oftentimes, especially if we don't allow ourselves to experience and travel the world and interact with other cultures and get to experience what other people live, how other people live, and why they do what they do. It just gives us, a greater understanding. And I think it's so important, especially in the day that we're living in now. I mean, it's been relevant for a very long time because history does repeat itself. But I think more so now than ever before, it's so important for us to educate ourselves and to really seek and to learn about other people's cultures and other people's upbringings, because it just allows us to be a lot more empathetic, and just kind, right? Kind, and knowing that not everybody's history is the same, and that we're able to really just have a really great conversation to be able to understand people on a deeper level. How do you believe that you stay relevant, unique, and true to who you are as a person, Nisha?
How do I do that? uh, so I really enjoy solitude. I really enjoy spending time by myself. I'm an introvert. So that's kind of, I find myself in places of nature, the beach, the ocean, sand, dirt. I'm wanting to be with Mother Nature. I sound so, so that helps me.
Are you gonna say hippie?
Out loud. It sounds so funny to say out loud, but like that's what really fuels me and helps me to rejuvenate and to continue. And so I thrive. I crave Mother Nature. And so, I'm hiking a lot. I'm always traveling and exploring. I mean, you and I have gone on some hikes.
Yes.
And I was so proud of myself. I just felt so powerful, and just, I had no idea that our bodies could do what they did during that trip. So that is what fuels me and really keeps me alive and keeps me inspired, and helps me stay grounded and connected, and really just being able to breathe deep. Breathing deep is a practice that I'm starting to get into. So,
how do you think that traveling has opened your mind to having the ability to connect with people and different cultures?
Traveling has really helped me understand history.
Mhm.
And that when we meet somebody, or we have a brief encounter with somebody, whether it's a positive one or even sometimes a negative one, just having the ability to see that individual and their whole history that you did not see,
Mhm.
and not projecting any type of judgment on that individual, um, during that brief moment that you saw them during their whole life,
Mhm.
and so just really understanding our awareness around people's childhoods,
Yes.
and during those very early developmental stages where they may have had a great childhood or they may have endured some abuse, but really understanding that the connections that I have with people are wonderful and great. And there may be some that I don't really care for or that I'm moving on from, but that's not their fault because they have a history. They have generations, that they carry, that we carry, that I carry.
Yes.
Um, so I'm carrying a lot from my ancestors. My kids will carry some of this trauma that I've experienced and that my mother has experienced. So that has really helped me embrace connecting with other people and really giving me a perspective of how they present themselves,
Mhm.
and why I'm connecting with them or why I'm not connecting with them.
Mhm.
Hmm.
You've traveled alone a lot. How many countries have you visited?
Oh, total?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I think 17 or 18, I think, so far.
I was having a conversation with a woman yesterday that I'd actually never met before. It was the first time connecting, and she's actually an advocate for international travel. And she is now wanting to educate people on how to become more adaptable when they travel other countries. And I didn't realize how difficult it was because I've been doing it for a while. I've been traveling on my own for a long time, and also, relocating to other cities where I didn't know anyone.
Mhm.
And it's almost like it forces you to just start all over and to recognize that you have the ability to adapt at any moment. But a lot of times people in our society, because they don't leave the vicinities of the boxes that they live in,
Mhm.
oftentimes it's really hard for people to be able to resonate with others. It's really hard for people to break out of the mundane routines that we
Mhm.
live in. Do you believe that traveling alone and having the experiences that you've had throughout your journey, do you believe that that has made you more adaptable?
Yes. Yes. I mean, I have developed a lot of skills in adapting to my surroundings, at a very, very early age, when I entered my adoptive family.
Mhm.
So the ability to survive and to take care of myself was something that was always going through my head, is being able to take care of myself. Um, and so I think that has given me some more courage to travel and to travel alone. And so when I have been able to travel, first with family, then with friends, and then eventually by myself. So it wasn't my first trip wasn't necessarily by myself, um, but I did learn that when I was traveling with friends, like, hey, I think I can do this by myself.
Mhm.
I think I can do this by myself. So when I did travel alone, um, it was a really good feeling to be able to take care of myself and to move freely, as much as I could, by myself. Um, and it really proven to me myself that I can take care of myself and that I am a strong person. I am a strong woman. Um, and so it really helped me build my self confidence, and build my identity as well. And that's been my lesson with travel. And of course, I've always thought that traveling was one of the best educations I have gifted to myself. And that was a promise that I made to myself really early on when I was in San Diego getting my undergraduate degree. And I was looking at all this money I was I was building because I have to pay him back. And I'm like, Lord, I could travel around the world 3, 4 times around for this amount of money. And that's when I knew this shit is just not right. So I finished. Um, but I made the promise to myself that I also have to invest in my traveling because that's going to be an extension of my education. And so it was always been a priority for me. And when the opportunity started coming, I started making some sacrifices. And of course, it was much easier, back then when I could quit a job and get a job and quit a job and get a job and live with my mom. So, but I still prioritize it now. I haven't gone traveling for a while, international. I don't know when that's going to be again, but I still like to explore, even locally. I went to Joshua Tree a few weeks ago for the first time, so I'm still exploring here and there. But
If you have not had the opportunity to travel and to explore, even if it's just going to the next city, 5, 6 hours away, take the time to do so because it will make you adaptable. It will expand your mind. It will allow you to really understand that there is a world that is greater than just the vicinities of the energetic space that we live in. And really, it just gives you a very different perspective of the world, and it allows you to see people. I don't know, it really allows you to understand people at a deeper level, I believe. You did talk a little bit about the practices that you already implement because you have been on this inner healing journey for a while, but maybe walk us through, a daily routine that you go through to keep yourself more grounded, more connected to yourself and to your creator.
okay, so I don't necessarily have daily practices.
Okay.
I make daily choices. Um, it's really hard for me to start something and do it every day. I
Okay.
don't know, maybe that's the Gemini in me. I don't like routines. I don't really like traditions. So it's hard for me to do something every day. That's why I don't work out every day, not every day. So, um, but what I do, health and wellness is really a big part of my daily choices. So what I put into my body is really important to me. How I spend my money is really important to me. Um, you know, lately my hair care has been very important to me. So supporting businesses financially supporting businesses when I can and giving is really important to me. Having conversations. I'm having really tough conversations with family members. Sometimes with friends too, if I have to call them out, or I've been calling out some family members as well. So those are just those are kind of like my daily practices. And of course, gratitude every single morning. Um, it's the first thing that I think about every single morning
Mhm.
is I'm so happy and grateful that I have another day, that I woke up today and that I'm breathing.
Yes.
Um, and I have another opportunity to live a full life on this planet and to create change in some ways. So that I think would be one of my daily practices. Um, but everything else I kind of do here and there. And um, yeah.
Do you feel like now you're more in tune with your own body, that you're allowing yourself to just do the thing that you're feeling that day that's going to help
Mhm.
you create something more positive throughout the day?
Yes, I don't get me wrong, I would definitely benefit from a routine. I would benefit from one if I had a coach knocking on my door every day, so yes. But I do think that what I do on a daily basis, however that comes out, listening to my body, letting it navigate me, letting it tell me what I need, um, I I think I'm doing all right, but I could definitely improve. I can definitely improve and do better for sure.
Listen, we're changing every single day. And I mean, I'm making changes daily. I like to talk about those 1% shifts every single day that are going to create 365% improvement at the end of the year. Seriously. And,
Yeah.
Nisha and I live a very similar lifestyle when it comes to what we choose to put into our bodies. Another reason why I really feel like her and I connect, because I haven't been putting dead animals into my body for the last, actually it's been about a 7-year progression, but 3.5 years where I've been full 100% vegan. Has that daily practice help you feel more in tune with your body?
Ugh, yes, 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 yes. I am just a huge advocate for a plant-based vegan lifestyle. It has definitely made my life so much more fulfilling. I feel so much lighter. I feel so much connected. I'm clear. I'm I'm able to receive a lot more, gradually, of course. But yeah, my daily choices, my daily eating habits, um, has definitely made a huge impact on my life and my healing. I mean, that's another thing. It all kind of goes back to my adoption of why this lifestyle is so great for me, is because I don't have any access to my medical history whatsoever. And so that's another reason why I am choosing to live this lifestyle as a preventative measure, or to reduce my risk of any type of possible diseases or outcomes, that could possibly be genetic. But um, but yeah, so I'm making the choices to change my eating habits so that I can create generational health for my kids in the future. Um, because that's something that I have power over right now. That's what I can choose. Up to 3, 4, 5 times a day. That's what I can specifically do to fight the climate crisis, to
Absolutely.
speak up for animals, to speak up for farmers, for bringing us back to the planet and using it for farming, and you know just being more aware of the potential that our bodies can become, because I mean our bodies are pretty amazing and what the possibilities can do, and our outcomes are directly linked to the food that we put into our mouths. So,
Absolutely.
but more people are waking up. More people are more open to more information. And so that's really exciting and inspiring. And so I hope to also share my personal experiences. I've been watching your cooking show, your segments. So just sharing what we know, because that's really important. That's really important right now to create that shift and that change we want to see.
Absolutely. And you know what? This is another reason why it's so important to share your personal experiences, because there's oftentimes that there, when people have maybe had similar experiences, or they're looking to make changes but they don't know where to start.
Mm-hmm.
And if this is something that you have been experiencing for years upon years, and it's something that really has helped improve your life, why not share it? This is an opportunity for us to inspire change within the vicinities of our energetic space. And even now with the internet, right? Like, this is the new economy. This is the way that now we are shifting into more of a social media and digital age. So if you have knowledge, if you have the education in in a specific area, and then you have the ability to share it on a platform like YouTube, Instagram, you have no idea who you're going to be able to impact, who you're going to be able to inspire to make those daily shifts that are going to allow their lives to improve. I just believe that sharing our story is so relevant in this day and age that we're living in. Wouldn't you agree, Nisha?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think we're learning a lot more from each other.
Mhm.
And more voices are coming more visible. Um, but there has to also be a shift to make spaces for the voices that haven't been heard, and listening and looking for those stories that are out there, and making sure that they're accessible. But yeah, sharing our personal stories is very important right now. I think we're slowly kind of getting back to looking at the human condition,
Mhm.
um, with a lot of the isolation that we've been experiencing. Um, and yeah, so I mean, I've been learning a lot from people sharing their experiences.
Mhm.
That's been a huge part of my healing, and so I think I think it's natural for us to want to talk about ourselves. That's why it's really easy for sometimes for us to talk about ourselves. But we
Absolutely.
know we're experts. We are experts.
Absolutely. And it's not in an egotistical way, right? It's in a way where, especially because I think we're all natural born teachers, and we all go through our journey and experiences in order for us to be able to share. Our stories are so unique, and they're so relevant in this time that we're living in. And with that being said, Nisha, what words of wisdom would you give to those seeking a deeper understanding of themselves?
Hmm. Well, going back to my philosophy, practice meditation and tapping into the universe. And I think that's a good way um, to start learning more about yourself. And then also too, what I'm learning right now in my life that I'm also adding is to heal the body. The body is holding on to a lot of trauma, not only maybe from your personal life, but maybe the life of your parents, your grandparents, the history of your ancestors, and to really recognize that and how that's been showing up in your life, um, and taking time to heal and breaking, those cycles, I guess, if you want to call it that. But and then beginning to create generational health, moving forward.
That is that is beautiful. That is beautiful because and remember too that our healing process is a never-ending evolution. We talked about this yesterday in our reconnection, Nisha, where oftentimes we get to a place where we create a goal and we create a vision, and then we accomplish that goal, and then we think, oh well, if I accomplish this goal, what more can I do? Or if I discovered this about myself, what more can I discover, right? And we're changing every single day, and it's very evident in the society that we're living in right now, especially again what we experienced last year. I don't think that anybody anticipated what we were going to experience in 2020, and we're experiencing change every second of the day, and therefore it gives us an opportunity to make changes within ourselves. And transformation or change is inevitable, and transformation is a choice. So every day we have the ability to make choices that are going to allow us to transform through these changes, and it's going to be a never ending evolution as long as we're on this earth. With that being said, do you have any finishing statements as this conversation comes to an end?
Um, no, I think I said enough. um, yeah, I think I shared enough.
There is so much to learn about the beautiful Nisha. Look at that bright smile. You know what? It's so funny because she doesn't really receive love that well, but this woman, every time we're out, like she just draws in attention with her unique physical beauty. And even just getting to know her and traveling with her has been such an honor. In fact, I'm going to share a little story about Nisha's and I's travels to South America in 2019, which I feel like for me, and I'm speaking for myself, that, it really prepared me for the shift that we were going to be experiencing in 2020. So Nisha and I went on a South America tour. I actually flew from Phoenix to Oakland, and from San Francisco, we flew to Mexico City. We had a 28-hour layover in Mexico City. We flew to Quito, Ecuador. We spent a few days in Quito, and then we spent some time in Peru. And in Peru is where we did the hike that really just like showed us what our bodies have the
Yeah,
capacity to
so
do.
yeah.
Exactly. But the first day that we experienced Quito, we had a red-eye flight from Mexico City to Quito, Ecuador, and we got there like at 5:30 in the morning, and we couldn't access our Airbnb until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So you can imagine how exhausted we were after 28 hours of being in Mexico City, and then having to wait quite a bit of time before we got to check into our Airbnb. So we spent a few hours just walking around the city, and it was on a Sunday morning. So we spent the morning and the early afternoon in Quito. And as we were walking back to our Airbnb, we were mugged.
Mm, mm. I like to say attempted. Okay. So they attempted.
We were attacked. We were attacked by two men
Where we
around the corner. We
Mhm.
were around the corner from our Airbnb. And
Mhm.
we have both have had a lot of experience traveling on our own as well as with other people. But oftentimes when you're with another person or with a group of people, you tend to have a comfort level that is a little bit different than when you're traveling on your own. And I think that you and I have developed this fearlessness and this courage because we have had, these life experiences that have allowed us to be very self-sufficient and, just very reliant on. I feel like, I don't know, I just never really lived my life, with fear. But I think that oftentimes these experiences have to happen in order for us to develop a new awareness. Because again, change is happening constantly, like second by second. But Nisha, she saved my life. She saved my life. The guy that attacked me actually threatened to kill me if I didn't give him my phone. And that's all they wanted, which is so interesting because I don't know, they could have, taken our money. They could have done so many things to us, but they just wanted our phones. And, I believe that when we operate off of fearlessness and these things happen to us, oftentimes it's just that little light that sparks in us that recognizes that, again, our life can be taken at any moment, and that when we have another opportunity to live another day, it just gives you another sense of gratitude. And I'm just so grateful that, I'm not, I don't wish that upon anybody because it was an out of body experience for me. Um, it was one of the scariest moments that I've ever experienced. But I will tell you that that trip for me was so transformational because I did have another opportunity to live another day and to see something I never experienced. I've been to South America before and I have experienced other parts of the world, but the way that I experienced that trip moving forward after that specific experience allowed me to see the world in a very
Mhm.
different light.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a big moment. That was a big moment. It was another moment that really prove to me and hopefully to you that we are pretty strong and we can fight. And um yeah, but just not, we can't let our guard down. that
Yeah.
was that was a that was a an experience I'll never forget. Hmm.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm just so grateful, Nisha, for you. I'm so grateful for the experiences that we've had to live together. And I just know that the divine is going to continue to use your story in so many ways that you never even imagined. Because you never even imagining that you would be past the age of 18 or even seeing yourself in this realm and in this platform right now that you're in. It's just such a beautiful experience to witness from my end, to see you living your purpose, because I believe that even though you don't think right now that you're as aligned as you think you could be, I believe that, every day we're experiencing our calling and our higher purpose just by being alive and just by sharing our story. So I'm really grateful that you took the time to be here with me today, to share your experiences and the evolution that you had, because I know that any person who watches this a conversation is going to be impacted in a very positive way. So thank you again.
Hmm.
Yes.
Oh,
And
well, thank you, Becca.
yeah, absolutely. And so the person who is going to watch again, whether it's today, tomorrow, next year, 10 years from now, that you be encouraged and you recognize that you are a divine being and that you are here for a reason, and that your story is not, it's definitely a story that needs to be told, that you have a greater purpose and that your blueprint is specifically for you and it's unfolding in a way that it needs to happen. Oftentimes we just don't think that we have a purpose because we're not we don't feel aligned, or we don't feel like the work that we do every single day has any significance. But you just waking up in the morning with breath alone is all the purpose that you need in order for you to move forward. So you matter, and we are here to remind you of that. So thank you again for joining us today, and until we meet again, I'm sending you so much love and light. Peace.